Larry, do you want to just let us know how you got involved in the sport of boxing?
Yeah. I used to be a sprinter, um, and to a good standard. I was junior England level. I used to train with joint chambers and stuff. And during the, but I've always loved the sport boxing. So during the off season, um, I used to go to keep in shape. I used to go to the boxing gyms and do a bit there with my brother. And yeah, the coaches there said that look, I had a lot, I had a bit of talent, and why didn't I try out boxing? But at that time, I was obviously in love with sprinting, and but I got injured twice, two major injuries, and the second time required a lot of rehab, which cost a lot of money. Then I didn't really have that money because I was 18 at the time. So after taking a long time to get back the hamstring in shape, I decided that I would follow boxing fully, and that's basically it. Went from there.
And who were some of your favourite fighters when you was coming up in the sport?
Oh, loads. Obviously, Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes, Mike Tyson, Sugar Ray Leonard. List is endless, really. Yeah, all the well-known guys who are known for either their skill or power. George Foreman's another one. Yeah, all those guys, really.
And where did the nickname the War Machine come from?
That came from my brother because we are massive, massive, massive. I can't even describe how big fans we are of Marvel comics.
Yeah.
And anyone who's watched the Iron Man films will know that there's a character in there called War Machine who's played by Don Cheadle in the second and third Iron Man, but he was played by Terrence Stamp in the first one.
Yeah.
So he's Iron Man's partner basically. He's got the suit and everything. So um, and we obviously used to read the comics, and we still do. And the character's name is John Rhodes, and um, my brother said that, oh, that character is you down to a T, and he also said, look, when you go in there, that's exactly what you are. You're a war machine. So yeah, he's the one that gave me the nickname, and it stuck.
You turned pro in 2008, but what kind of amateur career did you have? How many fights did you have?
I had 11 amateur fights, won seven, um, and I got to the national novices ABA finals. Yeah.
And during your pro career, you were known as a big punching heavyweight. When was it when you knew you could punch and really knock guys out?
I've known that since I was 11 years old. Yeah, obviously I didn't get into many scrapes on the street, but when you do, one punch usually finished it for me, and actually that actually saved me getting into a lot of fights because when people saw that, they realized, right, if you get hit by Larry, that's the end of it. So yeah, I kind of knew from then really. I think it runs in the family though, because my brother's an amateur boxer. Well, was an amateur boxer.
Yeah.
He's up to come back into it, and he's the same as well. He's got that one punch knockout power. So obviously, good genetics helps.
Tommy, you got a question?
Yeah, just coming back into boxing after the layoff, Larry, what expectations do you have, mate?
You see, the thing with me, and I think my coach hit it on the head recently with me when he was chatting to me after a sparring session with Danny Williams, is that I don't really get ring rust, and the main reason for that is that I stay in shape all year round. Now, a lot of fighters, especially heavyweights, don't do that. And I personally believe that is the number one cause of ring rust. I honestly believe that if you stay in shape all year round, even if you're not if you're not doing a lot of boxing training, but you're doing a lot of other training that's keeping you in shape, a lot of cardiovascular and strength training. I honestly do feel that the body will be able to adapt to the rigors of boxing very quickly. And I've actually proven that with because I had a year layoff before I fought Sexton. I
Yeah.
think that was about a year
That,
before,
that's
yeah,
right, yeah.
between McDermott and Sexton. I put in probably the best performance of my career so far.
Mhm.
So it just goes to show you that for me, the layoff would not be a significant factor. And that all throughout my ban, I have trained because it's just that I'm a gym rat. So yeah, I've stayed in shape throughout the 18 months I've been out. So
So,
I don't really expect too much ring rust.
so you'd be looking to get back into title contention as quickly as possible, Larry, yeah?
Most definitely, most definitely. I mean, to be honest, I thought I would need 2 or 3 warm-up fights, but judging by the way training's gone, my coach Dave Pereira has said to me that he's quite happy for me to just have this one warm-up fight, and he'd be very happy for me to fight McDermott straight away after that. Which I mean, I always think that of myself that I'm ready to go, but I always like my coach's opinion. Obviously, that's why my coach is there to tell it how it is. But if he and then I trust David completely, 100%. So if he's saying that, and he's a very hard man to please as well, so if he's saying that, then it must be true.
And
So yeah.
and speaking of McDermott, I mean, going into that fight, with all respect to McDermott, I thought, it was going to be another stoppage win for you. What went wrong in that fight?
There was a there were a number of factors that caused what happened to happen in that fight. Uh, First of all, I don't want to place the blame on my former coach, but James Cook didn't really give me any sort of tactics going into that fight. Don't get me wrong, I was in really good shape. I was probably up until that point in the best shape of my career. Um, so there was nothing wrong with me physically. Physically I was in great shape. Um, but I do remember all throughout that camp, I wanted James to sit down with me and watch tapes of McDermott and figure out a game plan. And his response to that was just go in there and knock him out. And then every time I questioned him as to how I would do that, he was just like, just go in there and knock him out. You've got the power, just go in there and knock him out. So that's, for a 12-week camp, that's all I heard. So, you take what your coach says on board. And that's why I just went in there to do, go in there and knock him out without any sort of game plan as to how to do that. And so obviously with that game plan in mind, I ran into a shot, and the rest is history, as they say. But also, I wasn't warmed up properly before that fight, and so I don't think I think if I was warmed up, although it was a very good shot that hit me, and most other
Top
heavyweights
gold.
wouldn't even have got up,
Yeah.
wouldn't even have beat the count. It makes me laugh when people say, "Oh, Larry's chinny," off the back of that one fight, when when everyone sees the shot that hit me, I still got up from that. Most heavyweights would not even have got up. They would have been on the floor for the whole 10 count. I got up, my legs were not wobbling, and continued. And even the second knockdown, I should have been allowed to continue because I wasn't in bad shape. Put my hands up, told the ref I was fine, and the ref stopped it. Not knocking McDermott. He did what he had to do, and he won the fight. Fair enough. But we've all seen fights where um, the guy's in bad shape and he's been allowed to continue, whereas I wasn't in bad shape and I wasn't allowed to continue. So yeah, there's that aspect of it. But yeah, basically, I wasn't given the game. The main thing is I wasn't given a good game plan to go in there. That's the main thing for me. And I've always, with me and David, of my coach Dave Pereira, I've always been talking about that fight. And obviously, Dave Pereira got Danny ready for the 2 McDermott fights. The second one being a lot more successful. And he said, look, if you were to fight McDermott again, I'd have no doubt in my mind that you'd beat McDermott. Even Danny Williams has said that to me. And one thing I do like about David, as he showed in that Sexton fight, is that he knows how to put a game plan together. He's very analytical. In fact, I liken him to a Freddie Roach in that respect, because Freddie Roach is extremely analytical and knows how to break down an opponent's strengths and weaknesses. And this is what Dave Pereira has in spades. So I know that if I was to have a rematch with McDermott, it'll be a completely different fight.
And yeah, like you said, I mean, in the next fight, it was a close fight until the cut stopped it against Sexton. I mean,
Yeah.
that was that an 8 round or was that fight? I think it was.
Yeah, it was an 8 rounder. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if that hasn't been stopped, I think the ref had it really close as well by about a point difference, I think.
Yeah,
So
he had a point difference,
yeah,
but realistically speaking, if anyone that's not biased watches that fight, they know I won that fight. The guy didn't land a punch on me in any of the rounds, and I was the one pressing the fight as well. He didn't win any rounds. I've had everyone that was even that on that night, his own fans said that I won that fight as I was going back to the changing room. He couldn't lay a glove on me. Every shot was blocked that he threw. I landed some punches. I didn't land a lot of punches, but I landed more punches definitely than he did. And I was pushing the fight. I was bossing him around the ring. My ring generalship was so much better. So how they scored it 1 point to him, I have absolutely no idea. But even saying that just shows you how close. Sexton was a former Commonwealth champion, and he's a good boxer. He's a very good boxer. He's a very good technician. So that showed people what I was really about. And to be honest, and you can ask Dave Pereira this, my coach. I was ill on the day of that fight. I had severe diarrhea, and Dave Pereira didn't really want me to fight. But obviously, I said, look, we sold tickets. I don't want people thinking I'm bottling it or whatever, so we'll go in there anyway. So I could have put up an even better performance and probably got him out of there quicker if I was 100% right, which I wasn't for that fight. But you can watch that fight back. As just before that fight was stopped, you could see Sexton was going to go. He was blowing hard. He was shipping right hands, looking away from the punch. And that was our game plan to take him to the later rounds and drown him.
Because people have said about Sexton about his stamina issues as well. Because Chisora took him late and stopped him.
Exactly. He's got major stamina issues, and I don't think he knows how to combat it. It was funny because we knew throughout this camp for that fight, he was going on his Facebook talking about he's doing 10-mile runs, 9-mile runs, and all of this. But the funny thing about it is that, with all the knowledge that we know about training now, we all know that all these long runs does not get you ready for the pace you're going to be going at in the ring. So we were just laughing when we read all that. We were just like, yeah, no problem. We'll do what we have to do and you'll see in the ring. But, that's another fight I won again as well. But, whether these guys will take it, I'm sure McDermott would have a rematch with me. But whether Sexton would have a rematch with me, I'm not sure. Because he went, straight after that fight, we had an interview ringside, and he wasn't keen on it then because he knew he saw a completely different Larry to what he was expecting. So, we'll have to see. He's got nowhere to go, to be honest with you. He's not really he's been stagnant since I've been away. So it might be a fight he has to take.
You're scheduled to fight again on the 29th at York Hall, Larry. Is there any word an opponent or anything yet?
The opponent hasn't been named yet. I think I'll find out by Sunday who the opponent is.
And that'll be a 4-rounder, Larry.
A 6-rounder.
6-rounder, mate.
Yeah. Like I said, I've been in the gym training, so the rounds are irrelevant really. If it could be a 10-rounder, I wouldn't even care. That's how great as great a shape I'm in. I'm ready to go.
I just want to ask you about, because in America there's a big issue right now in testing boxing, certain fighters being caught, and is British boxing better or worse? I mean, what does it have to do to improve, do you think?
I've been asked this a lot. You see, the problem is that first of all, there's no one governing body like there is in other sports.
Yeah.
So, for instance, you've got the British Boxing Board of Control, which is under the WADA rules, the World Anti-Doping Association rules. Most of the boxing associations or commissions in the States are not with WADA. So this is why they can give someone a 9-month ban or a 3-month ban and a little fine. Whereas if they were over here, they'd get 2 years straight away. For instance, James Toney, if he was a British fighter with a British license, should I say, he would be banned for life because
Well,
he's had two
he's
offences.
tested
He's
positive
tested
twice
positive
now.
twice.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
know, the first time he got 90 days,
yeah.
90 days, which
Well,
is
that's
nothing,
nothing. Yeah,
nothing. And then the second time he got 9 months. Now, like I said, if he was a British licensed fighter, he'd be banned for life. But you know, over there, it's different. And to be honest, most countries in the world are not WADA affiliated. Most countries in the world are not WADA. I mean, there was a case. I think it's still on BoxRec, but I don't know how true it is. But Ali Adams, who was banned here, is supposed to be fighting in
Yeah.
Dubai the day before
Dubai.
me.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
no one's making. See, this is what upsets me about people having a go at me all the time. Yeah, okay, fine, have a go at me, but look at what he's trying to blatantly, um, you know, go
Yeah.
around the ban. I actually cooperated and got
Yeah.
my ban reduced. He's trying to go around the ban. No one's making a big deal out of that. If that was me now, if it was me doing that, oh,
Yeah.
the big uproar. You know, why am I public enemy number one? It's not like I'm the first guy to fail a drugs test, or if people want to go in deep into it, I'm not the first guy in boxing to be caught using multiple drugs. Shane Mosley did it, and it's just that he wasn't caught. He admitted to it, and what happened to him? Nothing.
And he's still,
He's still boxing.
ri-
He never even got a ban. He admitted it to it in court that he used many substances.
and he's still got, fans are fine with him and have always
Exactly,
been
and
fine with him.
exactly, and no one makes a big deal out of it. But old Larry Olubamiwo, oh, he's a scumbag. Oh, he's this, he's that. The guy's gone to court and done exactly what I've done, but he's fine, and I'm a scumbag. You know, that's why, for the most part, and a lot of people who were following me as fans before all of this happened and realized that I was a
Yeah.
good guy, and now all of a sudden, the fact that I'm a good guy has nothing to come into it. The fact that I'm a nice guy and used to interact with all the fans as much as possible, that comes into it, doesn't come into it anymore. I'm now a scumbag, I'm now this and that. So for the most part, I don't really care what a lot of people have got to say anymore. I mean, if fans want to be positive to me, I'm all for that, and I'll interact with them as much as they want, and I'll continue being like that. But for people who bring negativity towards me, I've got no time for them. I don't even see it as constructive criticism because they're just being nasty for no reason, no good reason. I mean, I can understand people not liking me being bad. I can understand that, but at least call it the way it is and don't make it look like I'm the only one. Which is not the case. Like I said, I've just mentioned Ali Adams as is now going to be fighting in Dubai. He's blatantly going around the ban because Dubai, as most countries are, not affiliated with WADA. This is why there's this disparity in sanctions against boxers. You know, um,
Well, Lamont Peterson wasn't even stripped of his title, was he?
it's stripped of his title, but never banned.
Yeah.
Never banned. Andre Berto never banned. So that needs to be sorted out first before anything else, and then you can come to the testing issue. Because at the end of the day, if they could test people 100-fold in America, but if they still got the same rules, it's pointless. In that respect, Britain are a lot better because they're part of WADA. They follow the WADA rules and they follow it to the T. Right down to the letter. So, if you do get caught, you are going to be facing a lengthy ban unless you can absolutely prove that it was a genuine mistake, and it's hard going even proving that in Britain.
Well,
So, it's in that respect, it's much better in Britain, but there's definitely not enough tests being carried out. But people don't understand the lay of the land when it comes to these issues because testing costs a lot of money,
Yeah.
and they have a particular budget and they have to stick to that budget. So um, they have to ration out the tests, so to speak. And that's the problem in all sports, to be honest with you. So I don't really see a way around that because testing is never going to be a priority for the governing bodies in a sport, no matter how bad everyone wants to talk about the problem of PEDs.
Larry, in Nevada, the testing ratio for testosterone is 6.1. I think it's 4.1 everywhere else. Do you think this gives fighters maybe a bit of room to be a bit naughty with a 6.1 ratio?
Oh yeah, definitely. But even a 4.1 does. What it is, it's a 6-to-1 ratio
Yeah,
of testosterone to epitestosterone. It used to be 6-to-1 across the board, and then WADA put it down to 4-to-1. But obviously Nevada and I think in New York is 6-to-1 as well.
yeah,
They don't follow WADA, so they can do what they like. They could have it 10-to-1 if they really wanted. They don't follow WADA. But the thing is that a normal person is 1-to-1. So they've put it because there's genetic variances. It can creep up to 4-to-1. Indeed, it can creep up to 6-to-1. There has been natural cases where naturally people have had it 6-to-1, but it's very rare. So it does allow even the 4-to-1 does allow a bit of leeway, to be honest with you. But that's why they have also the other testing thing, the carbon isotope ratio testing, which is a better test for testosterone. But even that's not infallible, So
yeah.
it all comes down to how much knowledge these guys have when they're doping to circumvent tests. And if you've got a lot of money like the elite level boxers have, or elite level athletes have, then you can hire the best doctors and chemists to get around that.
And Larry, you got like Floyd Mayweather who like came out with the random testing during camps, and you got Nonito Donaire. I think he's the only fighter who's doing apparently 365 random testing. I mean, how effective is that really? Because the fans will see that and they say, "Oh, these two guys are obviously clean fighters," but
Yeah.
is that necessarily true?
Well, I'll put this to you. Memo Heredia, who's Marquez's strength and conditioner, and is also Usain Bolt's strength and conditioner, which a lot of people don't know, has gone on record as saying that during his time of administering and making performance-enhancing drugs, he has made various compounds that are still undetectable by today's testing methods. So that
Right.
should be able to answer your question
Yeah.
straight away.
Well,
You
when you
know,
think back 10 years ago and it was undetectable then, science has obviously improved all the time. So who's to say today that there's not going to be some drug out there that's undetectable?
exactly, exactly. Remember, I've got a degree in pharmaceutical chemistry,
Yeah, yeah,
so I've got a lot of inside knowledge on this, and um, all you have to do is pay a chemist whatever he wants, and he can make up a new undetectable steroid for you, which is what the Balco lab people were doing with the THG. That was a undetectable steroid, designer steroid made for the athletes, so they could circumvent the testing. And that was only found out because one of the jealous coaches, which was Trevor Graham, sent it in for testing because obviously they were all beating his athletes. So they never would have found out about that otherwise. But this has been going on since the 80s. I mean, all the track and field, the Americans and stuff, it's been going on since then. So
yeah.
it's nothing new. It's just not. It's just that it's a new thing to all the boxing fans now because boxers are now being caught. But it's not like it was something new. This has always been going on.
It's been in sport, yeah.
I have inside knowledge that a lot. I mean, when I was caught, I told people that I know that a lot of well-known British fighters a lot of them retired now. Uh, some are still active, are using stuff.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people have taken that as also to mean that I've given their names to UK anti-doping. The only case I helped with UK anti-doping was the Craig Windsor case. I have not helped, and then this is what angers me with all these articles that come out saying I've helped with other athletes. It was only the Craig Windsor case that I've helped with. I didn't put any other athletes or boxers' names into it. It was only Craig Windsor that I helped with, and indeed, it's only Craig Windsor's case my name is mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just wanted to clear that up as
Yeah,
well.
because I was going to ask you to clear that up actually, because one of the criticisms I've noticed about you coming back from some people is that they believe that you've turned snitch on all these fighters to have your ban reduced. Do you want to just clear that up right now?
Yeah, I do want to clear that up, and it's a thing that I'll be talking to you, Kenzie Dolphin, about
Yeah.
to clarify with everyone as well. But the only case I have helped with is the Craig Windsor case. I have not helped with any other cases, doping cases, at all. I have only helped with the Craig Windsor case, and that shows in the UKAD transcripts on their website. That's the only case I'm mentioned in. And that's the only one I've helped with. And the reason for that, which a lot of people don't seem to want to grasp, is that it wasn't a case of grassing. It was a case of if I mean, Tommy, you're from Scotland, so you would know a bit more about Craig, but apparently he's a bit of a naughty boy over there.
Yeah.
And this was not being said because ongoing investigations are still happening, but he was being investigated by the police over other matters which I don't know about and I don't really want to know about. But as because of this investigation, his Facebook was being looked upon by the police. Now, he had numerous conversations with me over a few months about his use of performance enhancing drugs, and which I continually told him that I can't help him because he was always asking for my advice, and I told him I can't help him, but he was still sending me messages saying, "What do I think of this? What do I think of that? What did you use? Blah 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 blah. I'm using this. I'm using that." Sending me pictures of what he was using. Blah 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 blah. So, UK Anti-Doping have a partnership with the police, which you can check on their website and you can phone them up. They'll confirm they do have that partnership. In which, if obviously it's not a criminal offence to use performance enhancing drugs,
Just
but
to sell them.
but they will tell them.
Yeah.
And they've done that in other cases. There's a case of Ian Burns, an athletics coach, who they went to raid his house for cocaine, I think, or something like that. Didn't find it. Found the steroids, and obviously they couldn't arrest him for that. But they reported to UK Anti-Doping, and he was subsequently banned. So they sent the Facebook messages into to UK Anti-Doping. UK Anti-Doping then called me and asked me to explain these messages, and I said I wasn't going to explain them because there's nothing to explain because I have not done anything wrong. I've not advised him. I've not given him any help at all, and I continually told him I can't help him. So they said, right, we understand that, but if you are willing to write a statement to say that he sent you these messages over this period of time, we can then we will then help you out. And I said, well, the help that I want is having the suspension of my ban. And they said they're willing to do that because they couldn't proceed with anything unless I say that he sent me those messages. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that of course I was willing to do that because I never handed them the conversation. So all this grassing and all of this it's absolutely rubbish, and people like to speak in ignorance, and they should find out the facts first before speaking. But yeah, that is basically what's happened, and as a consequence of that, there was a hearing that took place, and Craig Windsor himself admitted to a hearing panel, which is all on the UKAD website, that he took anabolic steroids, and he had possession of anabolic steroids, which is both a doping violation. So because I've heard on his Facebook a lot of times, he keeps talking about, oh, I never failed a test. Oh, I never failed a test. How can I be banned when I haven't failed a test? Yes, you pillock, you admitted to it. Yeah, you admitted to it. In fact, apparently, because I wasn't at the hearing, but I heard what happened in the hearing. His lawyer admitted it for him, and the panel then asked him himself to admit it, and he did. So all of this rubbish, I'm not really, people should just really take it for what it is. He admitted to it himself. So you don't have to fail a test if you admit to it. You're not the only athlete who hasn't failed. Marion Jones never failed a test in her life. Yeah. Lance Armstrong never failed a test. So let's be real. I've heard he's not the brightest spark anyway. So, but anyway, won't get into that. But basically, that's what's happened with that case. So and that's how that all came to be basically. So yeah, I've not had any other dealings with any other case, and I never actually uh, initiated the case with Praise Windsor, but obviously when they had the info and they contacted me, then I
Yeah.
proceeded to help them with that. Yeah.
Larry, I read a statement from Amir Khan, it was maybe a year and a half ago. He said that the British testing is very good and you're randomly tested, but I've also read that that's only above British title level. Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah. I don't know if they're changing their testing policies, but the British Boxing Board of Control really only test um, British title level and upwards. They
Yeah,
very, very rarely test under that. And a good example of that was my case because
yeah,
I had a Southern Area title fight. When I won the Southern Area title, I wasn't tested. When I had the English title eliminator with Dave Ferguson, I wasn't tested. And when I defended against John McDermott, my Southern Area title fight, I wasn't tested. The only reason I was tested for the Sexton fight was because they had the info from the Operation Raw deal by then
yeah.
that I was buying stuff from China and things like that. So that's why they tested me. Otherwise, they wouldn't have tested me for that fight, and that's why they did catch me because I was thinking that they weren't going to test for that fight. So I was quite relaxed in my protocol.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I mean, that is what they were doing. But I think now they are stepping up the testing for other fights as well. Now I've heard a lot now that they've tested in the prize fighters. They test a lot now. Um, so yeah, I think they might be stepping up that now to other fights like 8 rounders and 6 rounders and stuff. Obviously, like I said, the budget is constrained,
Yeah.
but I think they will be testing a bit more now.
Larry, you mentioned earlier about fighters who you know of that have tested, that sorry have used. I know you're not going to mention any names, but can you confirm if any of these fighters have been world champions?
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, definitely without a doubt. Yeah, yeah.
And Larry, you mentioned earlier about the fans. I remember you posted on, I don't know if you still do, on BoxRec quite a while ago, and you were getting a lot of positive responses and people saying what a good guy you are. How has the fans been with you since you made your return? I mean, has it surprised you or not surprised you at the backlash or whatever?
Um, when I first got caught, it did surprise me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I knew people were gonna have a negative view of me, which of course is understandable. But I thought that the fact that they knew that I'm a nice person and I do try and interact. A lot of
Yeah,
people confused using performance enhancing drugs with being a bad person. It doesn't compute. It doesn't. It's not this. You don't use drugs because you're a bad person, and because they equate basically recreational drug use with performance enhancing drug use, which is completely different. But I was surprised at first, basically with the backlash. I was expecting some, but not to the point that I got, and that's why I came out fighting. Basically, I came out, and I might have appeared maybe unremorseful, uh, but I had to defend myself, and obviously knowing what I know about what goes on in the sport as far as the PED issue is concerned, I wasn't going to have any of it, and I wasn't going to shy away from the issue either. But ultimately, I understood that, a lot of people were angry because they did follow me so passionately, and so I did try to, temper that by, you know, not being as active on the forums and also just trying to, uh, trying to show remorse basically for what I did do. And Yeah, I mean, even now, I mean, I can see I mean, some people wishing me well coming back, and some people are being adamantly, uh, very belligerent towards me. But now it doesn't surprise me. It surprised me at the first time. Now it doesn't surprise me, and in fact, I couldn't care less if people are belligerent towards me. It affects me not an iota. the negativity, because it's expected. And I've come to realize now, because of what happened in the past, in the beginning, that a lot of fans are fickle, and those people are not true fans, really. If they can chop and change like the wind. I mean, you don't have to agree with what I've done. Don't get me wrong, but you can still support me in my endeavors to come back as a clean athlete. And some people have chosen to do that, and I respect them, and I'm extremely grateful and appreciative of their support. And some people have decided not to, but I've done it respectively, and I respect those people who've done that. And some people have decided to be, for a lack of better word, scumbags about it, and label me every expletive under the sun, and hoping that I get severe injuries in the ring. At the end of the day, I didn't rape anyone. I'm not a pedophile. So for you to be, if people want to be like that, that says more about them than it does me, really. And that's why I said, for those kind of people, I don't really give a I don't really care, what they think, or what doesn't really bother me at all. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and they could do what they're gonna do.
And we've mentioned about the fans, but how's the response been from other pro boxers? I mean, has that been good, bad, or mixed?
For the most part, it's been pretty good actually. A lot of the boxers that I interact with, for the most part, they've been pleased that I'm getting, I'm getting back into the sport, and I'm gonna do it clean. And yeah, I've had pretty good responses by most boxers. Obviously, you're gonna get the one or two who are gonna disagree with me coming back, and that's fine. But for the most part, it's been very positive, and I'm very grateful for my fellow professionals, fellow colleagues who are supporting me in that way. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can see the frustration because, it's like we mentioned, guys like James Toney and Shane Mosley. I mean, they're going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame when they're finished. We all know that, don't we? And
Of course.
the same. I mean, I'm just wondering how the same fans who are, giving you a lot of grief, you know, what do they think about those fighters? I'm pretty sure they're huge fans of those kind of guys, like most boxing fans are. So, to
Yeah.
me, I don't know why it's just been you that's, because I've saw, a lot of grief that you've been getting. It's like, it seems to me like when a fighter fails a drug test, whoever it is, whether it be you or Lamont Peterson or whoever, the first thing is that people say is that what I see on the forums is, oh, these guys could kill someone in the ring because of the drugs that they're taking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 I mean, look. At the end of the day, people have died in the ring. We're in a dangerous sport. There's no doubt about it. But
Yeah.
for them to say, okay, oh, you could have killed someone in the ring. Well, are they then trying to tell me that people haven't died in the ring before?
Yeah.
We're in a dangerous
Mhm.
sport. People die regardless of if someone's taking performance enhancing drugs or not. In fact, I'll be more worried about people who are not prepared, who are going into fights at 24 hours notice. I'll be more worried about them getting severe injury and death than worrying about someone who's got performance enhancing drugs in their system and causing death. That's more of an issue, because that happens every day. We all know that people come in 24 hours notice, not trained a lick, and going into a fight with a fighter who's been training 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Who's more likely to suffer the damage than the two fighters who have trained for a fight, and one happens to use performance enhancing drugs and one doesn't? Who's more likely to suffer injury? You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So people just take what they want to, they see an easy fight. Oh yeah, performance enhancing drugs, yeah. But because it's ingrained, this 24-hour thing, getting guys at last minute, because it's ingrained in boxing, it's all right. That's fine. It's another another, a similar thing to this is
Yeah.
I was talking to my mate the other day, and he says, don't you find it funny that you get slated for using performance enhancing drugs, which are not illegal in this country, not illegal, yeah, and do not cause the misery that, say, cocaine does. But John Donnelly, for instance, gets banned for 2 years for using cocaine, which causes an extreme amount of misery and is illegal in this country. Uh, and he gets no stick whatsoever. Don't you find that ironic? And I said, yeah, I do. I do. Cocaine causes we all know how much misery that causes with the addiction and whatnot. But that, because it's a social it's socially acceptable,
Yeah.
that's fine. But big nasty steroids, we can't have those. Even though it's legal and people use it in medicine, for recovery and whatnot. That we can't have that. That's nasty. He's a scumbag. But never mind cocaine. We all use cocaine in the pub. Yeah, that's all right. It's not performance enhancing. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
the same with this whole 24-hour notice thing. If you give a box 24 hours notice, because it's ingrained in the sport, it's the norm. Even though it's not right, it's the norm. So people don't really see that as an issue, even though there's a lot more likely injury to come from that than someone using performance enhancing drugs. You see what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
and like I've said before, people have died in the ring before. So why aren't people taking issue with that? Why is it all of a sudden it's performance enhancing drugs, performance enhancing drugs? It's because it's an easy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say it's not an issue. It is an issue, but people are making more of it than it actually is. When there's other things in the sport they could be taking issue with that are more likely, much more likely to cause injury and death in the ring.
Larry, just in closing, mate, have you heard anything from the board on how you will be taken
Sorry, could you repeat that?
before your fights in the future?
Sorry, can you repeat that, please?
I'm saying, what are you going to be tested before all your fights now, Larry, or are you going to be given extra testing by the board
Well,
moving forward?
let me try and clarify something as well that a lot of people get confused about in answering that question. Um, the British Boxing Board of Control are not in charge of the drug testing.
Okay.
UK anti-doping has been basically British Boxing Board of Control have delegated that work to UK anti-doping.
Okay.
So when people talk about drug testing and sanctions, they really shouldn't be addressing the board. They should be addressing UK anti-doping. The board don't set the sanctions. If someone tests positive, it's not the board that bans people. It's UK anti-doping.
Okay.
So that people need to understand that first. That UK anti-doping
They're two
will
separate
probably.
entities, yeah.
Sorry,
They're two separate entities.
they're two separate entities. Now UK anti-doping will probably be testing me, probably
Yeah.
more regularly than any
Yeah.
other boxer, which is fine. It's expected. I mean, I've already been tested twice, blood test and urine test before I came back, and I expect that's going to continue. It might not be after every fight because people usually the drug taking is taking place before the fight, so it could come at my house. They came to my house to take the blood,
Yeah.
so it could be that way. But yeah, I'm of the mindset that I will be. I mean, even when I sat the board meeting the other day, they said you do realize that you will be tested probably more than any other boxer, and I said, yeah, I do know that, and that's fine because I'm not looking to use anything anymore. So anyway, so that's that helps to prove to everyone that I am clean, and so be it. It doesn't bother me either way.
Yeah.
So I'm quite happy for that to take place.
So,
And Larry, I believe you've signed with Steve Goodwin. You've signed with now.
Yeah. That's another thing I want to clarify because the article that came out said I was managed and promoted by Steve Goodwin. I'm
Yeah.
only managed by Steve Goodwin. Promotionally, I'm a free agent. So that's to clarify that. And so yeah, so I'm only managed by Steve, and so obviously if I'm managed by him, I can get on his shows, but I can get on other people's shows as well. So promotionally, I'm a free agent, but I'm managed by Steve Goodwin. And
And
Steve himself, he didn't manage. He didn't decide to manage me very easily. He did speak to me at length, and he did go away and think about it. So it wasn't an easy decision for him. So that's why I've got a lot of respect for him. But I know he was actually a fan of mine before the ban, and we did speak a few times before the ban about my career in general. And so he was the one that I really wanted to handle my career when I was contemplating coming back. And he did speak at length with me about everything. it wasn't an easy decision for him. But after speaking to me, he did realise that I deserve a second chance and that I will be clean from now on. And one thing he does know about me, and which he loves, is that I've got a great work ethic. I'm one of the hardest trainers going. You would never see me out of shape, and that's what he does love about me. And he knows that with that in mind, I'll be able to get opportunities at the drop of the hat. You won't hear the excuse from me that, oh, I wasn't fit for this. I wasn't fit for that opportunity. If I'm given enough notice, I'll be ready. So, like I said, it wasn't an easy decision for him, but in the end, he decided that he would manage me, and yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it because Steve is Steve. One thing people need to understand about Steve Goodwin is that he's in boxing just for the love of boxing. He doesn't make any money out of boxing. His financial services business is his income. He doesn't make any money out of boxing really. He's in it. He's in boxing because he loves boxing. And when you get with someone like that, it's a whole different ballgame because they're working for your best interests
Yeah.
only. That it's not about money; it's about just your best interests. And that's to me has been lacking somewhat in my career, and I'm glad that and a lot of people have said that to me that they're glad that I've gone with Steve Goodwin. And I think you'll see that a lot. I think he's been inundated with a lot of fighters who want to go with him, but obviously he can only take on so many. So, um, yeah, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to it now. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, Larry, I've just got these last couple of questions for you. We've kept you on a while now.
That's all right. You could ask question, ask away, mate.
Yeah, when did you first, get confirmation that you would be fighting again on this June 29th? And what were your, what relief was it that, after being told that you'd be banned for, 4 years, which could have ended your career, and now, being told that you're back again? I mean, how relief was that?
Well, I found that because I had to go to the board in Cardiff on Wednesday to
Yeah,
meeting, and that's when I found out I got my license back. Now my ban was actually suspended in April 17th or 18th, I believe. That's when it was suspended. So obviously that was the first part. I mean, nothing could happen unless the ban is suspended.
yeah,
So there was that was my first big massive relief. Me and Steve had been talking before then, and obviously he had a few dates in mind, and because I'm a Muslim, also Ramadan is going to be starting very soon,
yeah,
probably December 8th of July. So I was mindful of that, and I said if I do get a chance to come back, because as soon as my ban was suspended, I put in my application straight away to the board because I understand that these things could take time. I put my application in straight away to the board to get my license. And obviously speaking with Steve, I told him if I'm going to fight, then it's got to be before Ramadan. I would prefer to fight before Ramadan, and he did say that he had a show then, so on the 29th, just before Ramadan, so which was perfect for me. So we were working towards that date. You know, we were working towards getting the license with that date in mind, and that's one of the reasons why we put in the application as soon as we heard the ban has been suspended. But obviously, without the license, that couldn't go ahead. So it wasn't a straightforward thing of, oh, the ban's over now, I can go and fight. It was, now we have to apply to the board, and the board might not take the view that I deserve my license. So, um, you know, it took a lot of for working behind the scenes to get the board whatever information they needed, and obviously the helping of the Craig Windsor case uh, by me helped a lot in that respect. Uh, so when I went on Wednesday to see the board and they rubber stamped it, it was a massive relief. I wanted to dance a little jig in there, but in front of 15 stewards, I don't think that'd have been a done thing. So no, it was a massive relief to me. It was big relief. Like you said, since from going from 4 years and contemplating not getting back in the ring ever, really. to now getting ready to for my first show back is it's a
So it'd
massive
be like your pro debut all over again, Larry.
it certainly feels like that, mate. Definitely, it definitely feels like that, and I'm just so excited to get back in there. And I've been inundated with ticket requests. I'm so grateful for the fans for their continued support. I really am. I can't, the true fans that have stuck by me throughout this whole thing. I cannot thank them enough. I cannot thank them enough. And I can't also, there's a few people I need to thank. I need to thank my coach, David Pereira. I need to thank Steve Goodwin. I need to thank also Tony Wyatt and Scott Ewan from Ewan Law. They helped immeasurably. They're without a doubt, I believe they're the best law firm in London, and they've helped me so much. And my heartfelt thanks goes out to them. But that's what I was saying. Without all these people helping me, this wouldn't be a reality, and I'm very mindful of that. So I'm doing this as much as for them as much as for me. So this comeback is means a lot to not just me but to a lot of people, and I just can't wait to get the show on the road now and proving a lot of people wrong. A lot of people, have short memories. Everyone harps on about McDermott. They forget the Sexton fight. They completely forget. It's very convenient for them. This is what makes me laugh about fans sometimes. They completely forget the Sexton fight. And then when you do bring up the Sexton fight, that, oh, well, you're talking about the McDermott fight, but look at him in the Sexton fight. Oh, but Sexton we don't rate Sexton. Funny enough, but you rated him before that, though, didn't you? So this is
Yeah.
why,
And they thought it was. Let's be honest. They thought it was going to be an easy fight for him after seeing the McDermott fight, didn't they?
exactly. They all thought Larry was going to get blown out again, and that'll be the end of it. And they didn't understand that I was now changing coach and how underrated. How they didn't understand how underrated David Pereira is, um, and how athletic I am, and how much of a learning capacity I have. Remember, I'm still a baby in this game. This is what people don't understand. I turned pro at 29. When I was an amateur, I didn't have much of an amateur career. I'm still a baby at this game. This is what people don't understand. So it's not a question of teaching old dog new tricks. I'm still a new dog in this, you know. So when you do teach me the right things, I will learn and take it in and implement it, which I showed in the Sexton fight. So there's a lot left that people have not seen, and for people to be writing me off, I just can't wait to prove them wrong. It doesn't even bother me. I mean, before it used to bother me, but now it just makes me relish wanting to come back and prove everyone wrong, And it begins on the 29th of June. So yeah, I'm just hyped up and ready to go. Yeah, definitely.
We can tell by your voice, Larry, you're excited about it.
Yeah, to say the least, mate. To say the least,
Do you want to just give out any ticket information about the show, for our listeners?
Yeah, definitely. Tickets. Standard tickets are £35, and ringside tickets are £60. And if you want to get tickets off me, you can either hit me up on Twitter at Larry Olubamiwo, or you can Facebook me if you happen to be if you're lucky enough to be on my personal page at Lanray Olubamiwo, and if you've got my fan page, then it's Larry Olubamiwo. But if you inbox me on either, you can get tickets from me. But yeah, it's gonna be a very, very packed show in terms of fight. I mean, I think there's 12 fights on the card, and it's gonna be a lot of people there. I mean, it's gonna be packed. It's gonna be packed because not only will I be bringing a lot of fans, Sahel Ahmed, sorry, will be bringing a lot of fans on his pro debut. Then you've got Leon McKenzie making his pro debut. Obviously, he's going to be bringing a lot of fans. There's going to be a lot of attention on the show for a lot of reasons, not just myself. The top of the bill as well is going to be a good one, featuring Manny Edwards. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very lively show for all sorts of reasons. So please get down there, whoever can. Please get down to the York Hall 29th of June. It's going to be epic.